I think about that every year, and probably not. And I just say that because of free agency. If there's such a thing in free agency that's affected our conference, it's this one. You have more star players. I say that. There's more good players that are wandering back over to this conference, and I believe it probably will be as good as it's ever been.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin talking about the influx of talent into the SEC, even describing it as free agency. For fans of college baseball, it can sure seem that way, especially this offseason with an assortment of high-profile transfers that only increased from the year before. Last episode, we covered the 40-plus head coaching changes this offseason. Today, we'll dive into the transfer portal, what it is and how it's grown, before evaluating last year's transfer class, looking at this year's, and highlighting a few potential sleepers that changed schools this offseason. Let's start with what exactly the transfer portal is. On October 15, 2018, the NCAA launched the transfer portal, an NCAA application to manage the transfer process for both Division I and Division II student athletes. It was created to give athletes more control of their situations and make the transfer process more convenient and transparent. As a result, it's dominated headlines since its inception. Of course, that 2018 debut didn't immediately mean a flood of transfers. The big reason was the year in residence rule was still in place. The rules were such that if you transfer from a four-year college to an NCAA school, you must complete one academic year in residence at the new school before you can play for or receive travel expenses from the new school, unless you qualify for a transfer exception or waiver. That all changed in April of 2021. COVID had already made things exceptionally complex. Extra years of eligibility were added, while waivers were granted to enable immediate eligibility to transfers. After that, the NCAA decided to do away with the year of residence rule. Ratified on April 28, 2021, the organization ruled that all Division I student athletes will have a one-time opportunity to transfer and compete immediately, beginning in the 2021 to 2022 academic year. Essentially, student athletes can obtain immediate eligibility if they enter the transfer portal within the designated windows, which for baseball and other spring sports falls either in a 2-week span in December or a 45-day range after championship selections in the spring. As you might expect, that ability to transfer and immediately play, as well as a roster crunch due to an extra year granted because of COVID, saw an uptick in transfers. Since the waiver and new one-time transfer rule went into effect, the NCAA's official numbers for baseball show that 683 transferred from August 2019 to July 2020, while 975 transferred from August 2020 to July 2021. The official numbers aren't out for 2022, or 23 for that matter, but you can expect similar numbers if not greater. Transfer trackers and ranking transfer classes and so much more have become the norm throughout the sport, much as it is in basketball and football, for instance. The NCAA curbed transfers back in 2008 in baseball with the passage of the year off rule, but the latest reversal of that and introduction of NIL has undoubtedly played a significant role in the increase in transfers. With 3 years from entering the NCAA to the draft, losing a year to jump to another program simply wasn't something that happened all too often outside of extenuating circumstances. Landing a program-changing player in the portal from another D1 school, rather than through the recruiting ranks or via junior college, was rare. Now the mode of roster construction has completely shifted. Today, I'll look back at the 2022 transfer class and evaluate the biggest names, then move on to this year and draft an all-transfer team before highlighting a few potential sleepers that switch schools this offseason. As always, I hope you enjoy, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Every bit helps as we look to grow this channel. As you might have expected, there was a consensus top transfer in 2022, Arizona third baseman Jacob Berry, who followed his head coach Jay Johnson to LSU. After that, though, national outlets had a variety of players in their respective top 10s. I've culled that list to 13 names that were found in both Baseball America and D1 Baseball's top 20. One caveat, Sonny DeShera, perhaps the most notable transfer not named Jacob Berry, was number 21 in D1 Baseball, but I had to include him for reasons that will quickly become apparent. Of that group of 13 high-regarded transfers, we'll give them a quick grade. We'll start with the 6th overall pick of the 2022 MLB Draft in Jacob Berry. He didn't skip a beat crossing the country. He cut his strikeout rate in half, down below 9%, and raised his on-base percentage by 25 points. Berry posted a 153 weighted runs created plus, clubbed 15 home runs, 2 shy of his 2021 total despite 10 fewer games, and was a clear success. Up arrow. A consensus top 10 transfer, Moss was a key player as a freshman for the Sun Devils, but departed after head coach Tracy Smith was fired. Moss only got better once he arrived in College Station, setting career highs in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, doubles, and RBIs. The first baseman led the Aggies in batting average and took a step forward at the plate, walking more and striking out less. Up arrow. One of the bigger names in the portal was Jace Borfin, a well-regarded prospect out of high school who left Norman after just one season. He ran a 27% strikeout rate across 122 plate appearances as a freshman, so any improvement there was needed, but ended up seeing his weighted runs created plus decline by 2 points as he had just 12 extra base hits and ultimately saw a dip in plate appearances. Borfin just turned 21 in the fall though and has an 892 OPS in 49 Cape Cod Baseball League games over 2 summers, so I think it's too early to rule him out. He could have a breakout third-year campaign as he has the prospect pedigree and tools to do so. Sideways arrow. From one Texas school to another went right-hander Micah Dallas. After being used in a hybrid role, 10 starts, 7 relief outings with the Red Raiders, Dallas was firmly entrenched in the Aggies' weekend rotation. He set a career high in innings with 78, strikeouts with 86, and continued to pound the strike zone with his lowest walk rate, excluding his COVID short in 2020, at under 6%. Some balls didn't go Dallas's way, seeing as his batting average on balls in play, or BABIP, climbed to 360, but the right-hander's expected FIP, short for fielder independent pitching, tracked closely with the year prior. Without him, the Aggies wouldn't have gone as far as they did. He got a win in a College World Series elimination game against Texas. Up arrow. A 6th-round pick of the Angels, Victor Medeiros made the move from the ACC to the Big 12 in 2022. He pounded the zone, raising his strikeout rate to 21% while lowering his walk rate under 8, but still posted an ERA over 5.5. His expected FIP was under 4 compared to a 6.68 actual mark, but a home run problem at nearly 2 per 9 innings cropped up. The Cowboys started the year 6-1 in his starts, but struggles down the stretch saw them go 2-5 in his games. Sideways arrow, seeing as he wasn't quite as good as they needed a number 2 starter behind Justin Campbell to be. Now on to his third school in 4 years, Jack Washburn moved from Oregon State to Ole Miss in 22 and claimed a national title. Washburn has since departed to Texas Tech, so that might be indication enough that his 2022 season wasn't quite what he wanted. Command issues have popped up at every stop so far, running a 12-plus walk percent, and his 6.07 FIP and nearly 5 expected FIP betray a 3.35 ERA. Washburn got 2 innings in the College World Series against Arkansas, but that was one of just 2 postseason appearances. Since he's no longer on the Rebels, we'll have to give a down arrow on this transfer. A graduate transfer, Chris Lanzilli had actually trended downwards as a senior at Wake Forest. He posted the lowest weighted runs created plus of his career at 101, a 52-point drop from his previous full season in 2019, and his strikeout rate climbed above 20 for the first time since he was a freshman. A change in scenery proved to be just the trick though. The right fielder posted a 933 OPS, 126 weighted runs created plus, drew more walks, struck out less, and was a key piece of the Razorbacks lineup as they made a deep postseason run. Definitely an up arrow. A 5th-round pick of the New York Yankees, Eric Reiselman arrived in LSU after 2 years as a member of San Francisco's rotation. The right-hander had an ERA near 6 across 49 innings, but a move to the bullpen rapidly paid off. He struck out 66 in 40 innings, posting a 2.94 expected FIP, while striking out nearly 36% of batters faced. Reiselman finished 1 shy of the team lead in appearances, and his 3 saves were second only to Paul Gervais as a trusted arm in the bullpen. Up arrow. One of the highest profile transfers of the offseason was Adam Meyer because of his performance on the Cape. The most talented summer league in the country can serve as a launching pad for MLB aspirations, and that's exactly what happened with Meyer. Despite not pitching in 2021 due to British Columbia not having a season in the Cascade Collegiate Conference, Meyer made 5 starts on the Cape, striking out 27 in 25 innings. He showcased a 96-mile-an-hour fastball with a plus slider and above-average changeup, and took that to Eugene for the Ducks. Unfortunately, after just 3 starts, very promising starts in which he struck out 20 in 15 innings while holding opponents to a sub-200 batting average, Meyer's season came to an end due to an elbow injury. He still went on to be picked in the 7th round of the MLB draft. Verdict: no grade. Back to Aggie Land we go with graduate transfer Dylan Rock. The move to the SEC from Conference USA didn't faze the left fielder as he played his way into an 8th round draft selection. Rock entered having already posted 4 years of 820 plus OPS at UTSA, but he turned in a career year with the Aggies. His 154 weighted runs created plus, 323 isolated power, 19 home runs, 13 doubles, 16 stolen bases, and 57 RBIs were all career highs. Very much an up arrow, and a credit to Jim Schlossnagle and his staff for snagging Rock, Moss, and Dallas all within the same class. Another smaller conference pickup was Michael Turner, who joined Arkansas as a graduate transfer from the Max Kent State. And, like Rock, Turner climbed draft boards and became a 9th-round selection of the Chicago White Sox after a strong 5th year. He struck out more and walked less, ultimately unsurprisingly considering the change in pitcher quality, but still slashed .322 and set career highs in doubles with 17, home runs with 9, and RBIs with 52. Yet another up arrow. Like Meyer, Josh Hood didn't get a chance to play in 2021 due to the Ivy League canceling the season. He was still selected in the 20th round of that year's MLB draft as the Red Sox took a flyer on him, but his decision to go to Raleigh paid off as he became a 6th-round pick of the Seattle Mariners. Hood struggled at times with swing and miss, fanning a fifth of the time, and committed 12 errors for a .945 fielding percentage, but he was still a quality bat in the Wolfpack lineup. He hit .270 with 13 home runs and drove in over 50 runs. Up arrow. Finally, we wrap up our review of last year's top transfers by their preseason ranking, with arguably the king of transfers last year. It's pretty clear that Auburn doesn't end up in the College World Series if Sonny DiChiara doesn't come to the Tigers and have the season he had. DiChiara led the SEC in weighted runs created plus at a whopping 189 and also led the SEC with a 24% walk rate, .383 batting average, 1.326 OPS, and an assortment of other categories. DiChiara had been good at Samford. His 2 prior full years, he posted WRC plus numbers of 143 and 151, but he took it to the next level with the Tigers. A 5th-round pick of the Angels, DiChiara jumped right to AA and is as clear of an up arrow as you'll get. Tallying that up, we get a plethora of successful transfers, as you might have expected with players that appeared in both top 20 lists. What about some of the other well-regarded ones by either media organization? I'll keep this brief. These next 6 names appeared in either top 10 list, with Maxwell Romero Jr. as high as 4th on D1 Baseball. Romero Jr. went to Miami from Vanderbilt and got consistent playing time, but struggled with strikeouts, fanning nearly 26% of the time. He still had 27 extra base hits and a 113 weighted runs created plus, though. You'd add that to any lineup. Troy Claunch was another Texas A&M portal acquisition that paid off. His walk-off in the regionals against Louisville was memorable, and he was a reliable contributor in the Aggies lineup. Griffin Dorshin moved effortlessly to Oklahoma State from the Horizon League, logging his 4th double-digit home run campaign of his career while setting a career high in RBIs with 58. The formidable DH was also, like previous transfers, a key piece of the lineup. Tyler McManus became LSU's everyday starter behind the plate and was a terrific offensive backstop, hitting 10 home runs and posting a 128 weighted runs created plus despite a shaky 28% K rate. Alex Torrell did the unheard of and transferred to Florida State from rival Miami. He'd always run up high strikeout rates, but 2022 was a Joey Gallo-esque line. He walked 22 times, struck out 77 times, and hit 15 home runs. He had 15 singles in 58 games. You can't deny the power, but the 86 weighted runs created plus gives us a down arrow offensively. Finally, the last of this group is a pitcher, Adam Mazur. Like Meyer, 6 strong starts on the Cape raised his stock, and he met those expectations when he arrived in Iowa. Mazur struck out 98 and 93 innings across 15 starts and went in the 2nd round of the San Diego Padres. Sensing a common theme? The high-end hitting transfers, the guys who tear up smaller conferences for 4 years and use their final year of eligibility in the Power 5, or those simply looking for a fresh start, often slot right into lineups. Pitchers can be a bit more hit or miss, but still effective. 9 of the transfers I just went over saw their clubs end up in Omaha. Adding key pieces to replace departures, whether graduates, other transfers, or draftees, is more and more a requirement with the quantity of talent in the portal. That's part 1 of this video. In part 2, we're putting together an all-transfer team for the 2023 season and highlighting some sleepers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.